The courtroom wasn't silent, not really. You could still hear the soft hum of the battered ceiling fan in the corner, the faint scratching of a clerk's pen, the creaking shifts of cheap plastic chairs. Yet somehow, everything felt suspended, as if the very air was waiting when Lila Benton walked into the room. She wasn't dressed to impress, just a navy blue blazer, khaki pants, and simple flats, the kind of outfit you might wear to a school debate or a Sunday church gathering. But she wore it like armor. Her hair was pulled back into a no-nonsense bun, glasses perched low on her nose, her face calm and focused, as if she had already read the final chapter of a book everyone else was still flipping through. At the defense table, she took her seat deliberately, alone, no lawyer beside her. 17 years old, charged with obstructing justice, standing alone against a system designed to intimidate people like her. Across the room, Officer Greg Maddox chuckled under his breath. It wasn't loud, but loud enough for the bailiff to glance sideways. Maddox leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, a smug grin tugging at his mouth like he was watching a bad sitcom he already knew the ending to. Judge Harold Keyes peered over his glasses. "Ms. Benton, you're representing yourself today." "Yes, Your Honor," Lila answered, her voice clear and steady, no hint of nerves. Maddox muttered under his breath, "This'll be quick." Lila didn't flinch. To most people in the room, it looked simply kid from the east side of Mesa trying to be clever, another docket number, another formality. But what they didn't know, what Maddox didn't know, was that Lila Benton had spent the last month preparing for this like her life depended on it. Because it did. Her eyes scanned the room, finding her mother, Janice, sitting stiffly in the back row, gripping the edges of her purse so tightly her knuckles were white. "No es mal, barely breathing." Lila gave a small nod, not for comfort, but for confirmation. She had this. The bailiff called out, "The State of Arizona versus Lila Renee Benton, case number 22-21.3b. 1 count obstruction of justice. 1 count interfering with police procedure." Lila stood. "Ready, Your Honor." Judge Keyes adjusted his glasses. "Ms. Benton, I must remind you you've waived your right to counsel. You will be held to the same standards as any licensed attorney." "I understand, Your Honor." Officer Maddox shook his head, amused. A teenager quoting legal codes? Arguing her own defense? To him, it was laughable. What he didn't know was that after her arrest, Lila hadn't been wasting time complaining on social media or skipping class. She had been studying, reading legal codes, watching public court records, dissecting footage, calling legal aid hotlines under fake names, reaching out to anyone who could explain to her what real defense looked like. She had rewatched the video she took that day over and overburning every detail in her mind. That video wasn't meant to go viral. It was meant to protect her friend. Her classmate, Jordan Reed, had gotten into an argument with a security guard about a broken locker. Maddox had stormed onto the scene, grabbing Jordan by the arm without asking questions. When Jordan instinctively pulled back, not fighting, just scared, Maddox slammed him face first into a chain-link fence. Lila had pulled out her phone and shouted, "You can't do that. He didn't do anything." Maddox barked back, "Back up." Lila held her ground. "I'm recording this." In seconds, she was shoved against a patrol car, her arms twisted behind her back, her phone ripped away. "Obstruction," Maddox declared into his body cam, loud and clear. At the precinct, Janice arrived to find her daughter already fingerprinted, booked, and facing criminal charges. Public defenders were overloaded, and Janice, who worked 2 jobs to keep their tiny apartment, couldn't afford a private lawyer. So Lila made a decision. If no one else would fight for her, she would fight for herself. She threw herself into the work. Night after night, she pored over Arizona statutes, printed police manuals, watched court proceedings online, learned how lawyers built cases. She even called free legal aid hotlines under fake names, pretending to be a concerned cousin, learning everything she could. She wasn't trying to look smart. She was trying to sound certain. Her history teacher, Mr. Darnell, noticed the change. "You're not giving up, are you?" he asked one afternoon when she stayed after class. "No, sir," she said. "I'm getting ready." Lila built a binder 3 inches thick, color-coded with sticky tabs. Yellow for key statutes, blue for contradictions, red for every inconsistency in Maddox's report. She had watched her own arrest video more than 30 times, analyzing every second, documenting where her hands were, how far she stood, how calm her voice stayed. Her mother urged her to take a plea deal. "You can't win, baby," she whispered one night over a microwave dinner. "They got the badge. They got the judge. You don't win in rooms like that." Lila didn't argue. She just chewed her food slowly, then said, "I'm not trying to win, Mama. I'm trying to show them I'm not scared." In her borrowed laptop from Mr. Darnell, she crafted her opening statement, practicing until her voice no longer wavered. She rehearsed in front of mirrors, in front of neighbors' kids, even once in front of the janitor, Mr. Amos, who silently handed her an old legal dictionary he'd kept from night classes decades ago. People started rooting for her not because she asked, but because she never asked for pity. But Maddox didn't see it coming. He still thought it would be an easy win. The courtroom filled more the day of the trial. A few teachers from Roosevelt High showed up. Jordan was there too, with his mother, sitting near the front. And somewhere in the back, a reporter from the Arizona Daily Sun scribbled notes. The prosecutor, a middle-aged woman named M.S. Gordon, opened the state's case with a bland portrayal. Lila Benton as a disruptive teenager escalating an already tense situation. Maddox smirked from the prosecutor's table. Then it was Lila's turn. She walked to the center of the courtroom without reading her notes. "Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen," she began, "I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be, but know what I saw. And more importantly, I know what I lived." She let the facts speak for themselves. Maddox was the first witness. She asked simple, piercing questions. "Officer Maddox, how many times have you arrested students without physical altercations?" He shrugged, smug. "Several. Depends on the threat." "Was I a threat? You were yelling, interfering. I was 12 feet away. Is that correct?" "Approximately. And you grabbed Jordan Reed without questioning anyone first." "Objection. Sustained. But the seed was planted." The prosecution's other witnesses, a security guard and a student who hadn't really been paying attention, offered little substance. Then Lila called her witnesses, Mr. Darnell, who vouched for her character, Jordan, who testified nervously but truthfully that she hadn't touched anyone. She had only recorded. Then came the moment Lila had prepared for. "Your Honor, I request to enter a video file into evidence," she said. The judge approved it. The footage played, grainy but clear. Maddox grabbing Jordan. Lila's calm voice protesting. Maddox shoving her against the patrol car. The courtroom was deathly still. Judge Keyes leaned back, eyes narrowed. "Officer Maddox, would you like to respond?" "The video doesn't show everything," Maddox stammered. "Objection," Lila called out. "Subjective statement, not a factual correction." "Sustained," Judge Keyes ruled. Then came her masterstroke. "In your report, officer, you stated I approached aggressively, correct?" "Yes. Yet in the footage I never moved. I submitted a timestamp analysis. Would you like to challenge it?" Maddox hesitated. "I'm not a video expert." "That's fine. I had it verified by a certified analyst from Northern Arizona University." The judge nodded. He'd seen the documentation. Maddox's defense crumbled further when Lila submitted 3 prior complaints against him, all public record, alleging excessive force. The courtroom energy shifted. Maddox no longer looked so smug. After a recess, Judge Keyes returned with his verdict. "The charge of obstruction is dismissed. Furthermore, I will recommend Officer Maddox's conduct undergo formal review." Lila exhaled, quiet, steady, powerful. No cheers. No victory laps. Just peace. Outside, Janice pulled her into a crushing hug. Jordan's mom approached, tears in her eyes. Even the reporter hovered, respectful but silent when Lila shook her head. Over the next week, the story spread out viral, but enough. Enough for change. Mock trial scholarships were offered. Black attorneys across Arizona reached out. Students at Roosevelt High began questioning authority sharp, informed, unafraid. One afternoon, Mr. Darnell slid a folder across his desk. A summer program at Arizona State. Law exposure, mentorships. I already put your name in. Lila opened the folder. She didn't cry. She didn't laugh. She just nodded once. It wasn't just about me, she said quietly. It's about making sure the next kid like me doesn't have to choose between silence or cuffs. That night, at the same worn kitchen table, Lila opened a fresh notebook. At the top of the page, she wrote, "They thought I came to defend myself. I came to expose the truth. Because justice doesn't always come from the top down. Sometimes it starts with someone no one saw coming."